Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Happy Halloween, and welcome to my Halloween edition of the Waltons. I did a little research on sort of the episodes that were right around Halloween time over the seasons. And we had episodes like The Changeling and The Ghost Story, some of which were right around Halloween and some which were not. And I know some of you have asked about why an episode like The Changeling or The Ghost Story, which seemed a little out of character for the Waltons. And I wondered, and you have also speculated, were they influenced by the popularity of movies during that period, like The Exorcist in 1973, or Close Encounters in 1977, or The Omen in 1976? I don't really know, but likely that was the case. And between our writers and producers and the network, hard to say what was sort of being thrown out there as, oh, we should do this, or we need to stick with what's popular, or try to deal with current trends, even though we're a period show. I don't know. I think sometimes it just wasn't necessarily right for the show. And when you're doing a show like this, people aren't always thinking about the long-term longevity of the show and how different decisions that are made are going to impact over decades, because and no one thinks they're going to be fortunate enough to have decades of a show, the popularity that we've had, although we filmed for a decade, but we are now decades later. Looking over the seasons then, in season 1, the closest that aired to Halloween was episode 7, The Sinner, which aired October 26, 1972. Clearly not Halloween themed in any way. In season 2, we had a few that were right around that time period. Episode 7, The Prize, aired October 25th. And then episode 8, The Braggart, aired November 1st. Again, neither one had anything related to Halloween. In season 2 was when we had The Ghost Story, which was episode 21 and aired February 14th of 1974. So again, even though it maybe had a bit of an eerie, spooky thing with the Ouija board and, the premonitions and stuff, it really wasn't done for Halloween. Moving on, in season 3, episode 8, which aired October 31st, was The Spoilers. I don't see a Halloween connection there either. Season 4, episode 8 was The Competition, which aired October 30th, 1975. Again, no Halloween connection. We got to season 5 in episode 6, The Night Walker, which did have a little bit of an eerie feel with, the whistling and noises in the dark and stuff. And it was meant to be a little eerie. And that aired October 28th of 1976. Also, an episode that I thought had a little bit of a, supernatural feel to it was episode 15, The Ferris Wheel, when Elizabeth is having nightmares and sleepwalking and stuff like that. Not completely out of the realm of what, happens with people. The people do sleepwalk and stuff, and people do have nightmares, but certainly a little bit of an eerie feel on that. But that aired January 6th, 1977. In season 6, the episode The Grandchild aired November 3rd, 1977. And so that would have been closest to Halloween. And it did have that sort of curse that we dealt with Cassie. So something just a little spooky and creepy there. Now that episode, they didn't quite know when it was going to air, whether Mary Ellen was going to be pregnant, not pregnant. So I was not in the episode The Warrior because they didn't know if The Warrior would air before or after Mary Ellen was supposed to have had the baby. So that didn't end up being that much of an issue, but I think The Warrior aired perhaps before that. So there you go. But maybe they were looking to land The Grandchild at a particular time period. In season 7, we had the episode The Changeling, which of course did fit the sort of Halloween theme with Elizabeth dealing with the poltergeist that was causing all kinds of havoc for her. And that was, I believe, episode 5, and it originally aired on October 26th, 1978. So clearly the Halloween segment for season 7. In season 8, we also sort of split Halloween, with the Journal airing October 25th, 1979, and The Lost Sheep, episode 8, airing November 1st, 1979. So again, neither one of those had any sort of tribute to Halloween. And then finally in season 9, there was no episode that aired in October of 1980 because the actors' strike had been occurring. So we were late starting our, that actor strike ran from July 21st to October 23rd of 1980. So we lost some time there. So there was no new episodes that aired in October. So why these episodes that were a little kind of off topic for the Waltons? I don't really know. But I think there's an interesting point in what Patrick Laberteau said when we spoke about what Michael Landon had said, that there are trends and fads, and then there are the enduring shows like the Waltons or Little House on the Prairie, as opposed to whether shows that are more topical for an era but don't stand up several decades later. The trend passes, and you might enjoy that show. Doesn't mean to say it won't, but some of those shows have not stayed on in reruns for 50 years, like Little House and the Waltons. So there's a lot to be said for just telling good stories and not trying to worry about what's trendy. Many of you have asked about different things that happened and why was this and why was that. And I always have to say, for the most part, I don't know, because as young actors, I didn't think to really question scripts and stuff. Your job as an actor, I was trained, was you show up and you say your lines. And every once in a while, something felt awkward to me, and I would see Richard or Michael or Ralph or questioning things. So I think I did start to question things at times, but we had no power as the children on the show. So occasionally someone would say, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But other times I got completely overruled and shut down or whatever. So mostly they just wanted things to roll along, and we were on a tight schedule. So there wasn't time to question a lot of things. So I just tried to show up and do my job. I remember asking about in the conflict when Mary Ellen and the girls get treed by these wild pigs. And I thought Mary Ellen would take them on. And I asked about that. And Ralph Sinensky, who directed that, said he called in the producer to go, what do you want me to do? And the producer took me aside, and I came back and I did the scene the way it was written. So clearly I was just told, hey, come on, just do it, okay? So I still don't agree that was the right thing for Mary Ellen, but I had to play it like, well, she's still a young girl and she could get freaked out by something. So you try and find a way as an actor to sort of make it make sense for your character. In thinking about what might have been interesting to do as a Walton episode, I just was kind of throwing some ideas around, and I thought that with it should be something that wasn't too scary. And is it something that really fits on the Waltons? And maybe the kids just together telling spooky stories. You know how sometimes as kids you get together and it's dark and you sit in a circle and you share scary stories. So that maybe we put on a little show in the barn that has ghosts and goblins or things like that. Maybe a nighttime scavenger hunt around Walton land, and that they uncover something unexpected. Maybe it's a sort of a hope chest, and there's interesting things in there, and during this, and that it turns into something else. That maybe there's a diary, and there was a young girl who was heading out west to be married, and it's sort of her hope chest and her trousseau, and maybe she kept a diary, and perhaps she had concerns about marrying someone she didn't really know, and maybe it was an arranged marriage, and that Erin might be caught up in the romance of it. Oh, she's going out there and she's going to have this wonderful life, and Mary Ellen takes a different view and says, "Are you kidding? I would never be involved in an arranged marriage, and women shouldn't be forced into marriage." Mary Ellen's young attitudes about marriage and conforming and all of that, which I always found interesting, because then she ended up getting married very young and having a child very young. So we change, and what we think we want when we're young isn't always the same. But I thought maybe that that would be fun, and that we could find some interesting things in that chest. Then what else did I have? I said, maybe we created a haunted house, and that we all dressed up in costumes for maybe kind of a fundraiser for the community, this haunted house. So maybe not too scary, but a little bit of a haunted house. Dressing up in popular figures from history or from the era. So I thought we could have had some fun with something like that. And maybe, there's ghosts and there's howling and stuff. And I was looking back at the haunted house as an American cultural icon, and it said it can be attributed to the opening of the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland on August 12, 1969, and that then Knott's Berry Farm began hosting its haunted Halloween night attraction, the Knott's Scary Farm, which opened in 1973. So those are some of the things that maybe wouldn't have occurred within the era of the Waltons, but maybe they could have done something that they were kind of creating as, with ghosts and things like that. So I don't know if you have ideas of what you think would have been a fun Walton Halloween episode that would fit in the Waltons and not be too scary. Put that in the comments. One other thing I thought I'd share with you is this little sort of steampunk costume here. There's a little thing behind it. I am going to be participating in a little one-day horse show that's a Halloween horse show. And so for the dressage portion of our competition, riders and horses can be dressed in some sort of a costume. So I was trying to think of something that I could actually still ride in, and something that I could, take some pieces and decorate my horse with. So this is going to be my costume for the dressage portion of the Halloween thing. Thank you for joining me for this Halloween segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Happy Halloween to you. I hope you enjoy your evening. I hope you all stay safe out there. And I will be back with more Behind the Scenes of the Waltons and more Ask Judy. Thanks for watching.